Hey everybody, welcome to another Flea Market Finds episode. This may or may not be a multi-part episode. I'm going to try and go through this stuff fairly quickly. All of this stuff came out of an estate. This was an estate clean-out situation. Clearly it was a machine shop at one point, and it almost appears like maybe it had moved because all of the large machinery, there was no large machinery or machines to be found. But I found a lot of evidence of the existence of machines, parts, things like that. And initially, when I was going through, I didn't see too much to get too excited about. I did find a few nuggets here and there, and when I started to put those together into bundles and talk about pricing, I was getting shot with such low numbers that I quickly realized this could really turn into something lucrative and worthwhile to start digging through. And it was one of those things where stuff was just piled in boxes and cases, and there were cabinets with drawers to go through. And as I went through and I realized that I was getting stuff at such a cheap price, relatively speaking, I started to buy more. I started to go back, and there were things that I was, passing on the first time because I was like, I've got too many of those, or I don't really have to worry about it. But then when I was getting them for the kind of prices I was getting them for, I went back and started buying more stuff. I started buying things I don't need right now, but was thinking maybe at some point I might need it, or maybe it's a part that I know I could resell, flip quickly, or whatever. So without further ado, let's dive right in. We're just gonna, put the boxes up as they come out, and this stuff just mixed in all the boxes because I don't have it all categorized by just like all cutters or whatever in one box, because I would literally think I bought like the whole lot of cutters, found all the ones I thought I could find, put them together in a pile, buy them, and then, dig through some stuff and find more. So let's dive right in. So I don't remember exactly what initially happened, but I ended up grabbing a couple of key pieces and putting them in a pile. And when I got those for so cheap, I realized, okay, the way to go is definitely to bundle stuff, and that these guys did not care about the actual value. It was more about, let's clean this place out. So they were just throwing out numbers, and I just go, yeah, okay. So I wish there was a ton of these there, but this is the only one I found. But this is an Aloris tool holder, clearly marked Aloris. This is a CA sized, number 6. So this can take a really wide bar or cutter. I'm not exactly positive what this is supposed to be for, because it's got this big bolt that goes through. I could look this up easy enough. I'm not going to worry about it. It's got surface rust on it, but hey, no big boo-boos or chunks taken out of it. Surface rust, I'm sure, is going to clean right up. It's a nice CA sized holder, which fits the holder size that I have on the Vernon lathe right now. So just to give you an idea, I bundled that with a bunch of other things, and I probably ended up paying something like $5 for that. This is just we're just going to call this a piece of bar stock. Any metal like this that was laying around, I pretty much scooped it up and got it for scrap value. But that's a nice, good sized hunk for a project at some point. Then there's things like this. Okay, again, could use this just for stock, bar stock, but notice it's got a bevel on it, and what it looks like to me is it looks like the kind of thing that would be put in a press brake or something. So I'm going to keep that and not use it. I'm not going to cut it up. I'm going to just keep that just the way it is. I might keep that over by my shop press, and maybe at some point I'll figure out a good use for this. I don't see why. I might even have a V-block long enough that I could almost use this to put a bend in a piece of metal. I was not the only guy there. There was a guy there when I arrived, and he was going through stuff, and he was not buying a heck of a lot of stuff, but I literally watched him spot and snag a Travidile unit that looked like it was in really good shape, just laying in a pile of stuff. And he grabbed the travidile and he asked the guy how much for that, and I think the guy said, like, $10 or $5. And he was like, all right. And he took that. And then later I was talking to him because I said, hey, I noticed you scored that travidile. I said, you don't want the bracket? And I pointed out to him that I'm pretty sure, because this was right near it, and just by the looks of it, I'm pretty sure this is a travidile bracket for mounting the travidile on a piece of machinery. And he said, no, he says, I already got a bracket. I just need the travidile. I was all right. So I threw this in my pile of stuff, and I got this for scrap value. So basically took a chance on it. I don't know for sure. It's got a casting mark on it, BR-24A, and then a 12992. So again, don't know if that's going to be worth anything. Worst case scenario is maybe I can fashion something out of it down the road. Unfortunately, I didn't find much in the way of premium things, but I got excited when I would see something like, for instance, this number 827B Starrett edge finder. It's just an edge finder, big deal. But the point is, it wasn't there. It's got a mold on it, but I might have an extra 827B around here somewhere that needs a box. So when I can get it, get that for nothing really, and get an extra box, put something in down the road, I snag it. Here's an example of something I can't use, but somebody else might be able to use, so I bought it for resale. Light rust, that'll clean up no problem. This is a, looks like a 30 taper. This is marked Universal Engineering 503905. Okay, so this almost looks like part of a quick change system or something. I don't know, or maybe a boring head I don't know what goes on here. I can look it up and find out. Not going to worry about it. I got it for peanuts, and my hope is that somebody can use that, and maybe I can get $10 for it. Would be great. Of course, we'll do a little research just to make sure it's not much more valuable, but it's got a fine thread here. The threads do not look damaged. Like I said, some light surface rust, but it should clean up just fine. The only surface gauge I found in the whole place. I got plenty of surface gauges. Every one I come across now I tend to sell. Again, I knew I was going to get this for peanuts. I thought the design on this one was kind of interesting to me. Because of the way that the thing pivots. I've never seen one quite like this, and I didn't look closely because I knew I was buying it for scrap value, so I didn't spend much time hemming and hawing over figuring out who made it and the value. But this is an Eclipse. This says Eclipse number 104, made in England. So that's an English made, by the looks of it, pretty early surface gauge. So that may be of interest to someone. Not many coming up. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I'm sure if we looked at the overseas version of eBay, might find more. But the ones that keep coming up, of the few that do come up, are 101s, which is a different model. And here's the only 101 that I could find that has sold for $68. But it's complete, and you can see it's a different design. And so, I don't know. What did I say this was, a 104? Yeah, it's definitely a model 104, so it's a bit of a different animal. I'm trying to figure out what's an interesting color of that metal right there. It almost looks like that's like a copper alloy or something. All right, moving on. Just as I found it, just a big old micrometer head dumped in a box. Green tag on it with no markings. And this is a sheer Tomiko micrometer head. It spins freely. It's been,
treated like it's been mistreated. This actually feels greasy or gooey, so I think that's going to come off. This has got a little bit of surface rust on it, so it needs to be cleaned up. But this is probably a good usable micrometer head to somebody. It looks like it came off of a bench micrometer. Yeah, Shear Tamiko, St. James, Minnesota, USA. I don't know what the divisions are on this thing. Could this be a dual reading, metric and... The only reason I say that is because it's got two sets of numbers, black and red. So, for instance, if this is thousandths, no, let's see. No, it has to do with the direction, I think. Because this counts, the red numbers count from 0 all the way around up to 24 in this direction. And the black numbers count from 0 to 24 in that direction. The top scale counts from 0 down to the left here, going up in that direction. And it counts down from 0 way over here if I open this up. 0's underneath here, going towards... Well, I guess that would be 7 in that direction. Yep, 8, 9. Sorry, not 7. That's an upside down. That's not an upside down, it's 9. I'm reading it the right way. So that's an interesting thing right there. Don't know what we're going to put on that for value. We're going to send it down the road, though, that's for sure. Another example of something that normally I wouldn't have bothered giving any money for, but because everything was going so cheap, I said, hey, what the hell. This is a weldon shank, so we could put this right in the milling machine. It's marked with a rusty part number. It appears to be 99-63-95-T4. But all I really need to know is that, well, this doesn't really belong on here. Why is that? That's drawing a... That's looking real familiar to me, but I can't quite figure out what the hell it is. But anyways, this would be... what is this for? Take that off of there. I don't think these two pieces belong on here. I think you could put a cutter or something on here. I think it's an arbor for a cutter, but what, there's no keyway or anything. What would lock that in? Well, that's a bummer. Should have knew what the hell that was. Last item in this box. This is not your way. This is not a way to treat your levels, your precision levels. But again, I got this real cheap. I'm going to be able to send this down the road real cheap. Look at this. I mean, it's got the small bubbles intact. This actually only has one bubble. Okay. And initially, this is what I found, and then later I found this and realized, oh, here's the other part to this precision level, but the vial's broken out of it. But you can get replacement vials for these, at least you can for the sterrets. And this is a sterret, okay? This is a 12-inch. Yeah, whatever. Going to be a nice, cheap level for somebody that, you know, if they want to go online, on eBay, occasionally you'll find the replacement vials for these and put it together, clean it up. Just revisiting this for a quick second. The more I think about this, the more I think this is a slitting saw arbor. The reason why I think it's a slitting saw arbor is because if we take this and just say that, okay, that's a mistake that was even on there, and we just go with these components here, this fits on here nicely. but it doesn't give much room for anything. But if we took this off and we put a slitting saw on here that fit on this diameter, and then put this over it, and then tighten it down with this nut, that's what I think we've got there. So I may be completely off base with this, but I don't know. I probably have plenty of these kind of arbors, so I'll see if I can get a couple of bucks for it. And then this just becomes a mystery, unless one of you guys knows what the hell this is. I was looking through drawers and I kept finding like little mandrels and stuff. And initially I thought, well, I got quite a few of those. I don't want to bother with them. But then when I was getting stuff dirt cheap, I just decided, oh, I'm going to just put all the mandrels I can find in one box. And then I found this was near the end of my pick, and I found some more little things, so I just threw them in this box and got this whole box for one money. I think I got this box for like 10 or 15 bucks. And what's in here is pretty much every mandrel in the place. So for those of you who don't know what these are for holding something between centers. So for instance, you could put a center in the headstock of your lathe to hold the support this end, and center in the tailstock, and then this flat space right here is where your drive dog would actually clamp on to spin this. Okay, and how this holds something is, it's actually, I guess I'm saying mandrel, but really it's more correctly I think called an arbor. And the way these work is the majority of these are tapered. So this one is clearly marked. This is a Morse of New Bedford, Massachusetts, and it just says E. So I think it's a size E. And on this end, it says 3/4 of an inch. But if we actually measure this, it's tapered. So if I want to hold a gear blank on a dividing head, for instance, and it's going to have a 3/4 inch diameter hole, I would use my 3/4 inch mandrel, and what we'll see is that this is 748.5 thou, almost near the end here. And if we come up this end, we're going to see that it's 752 thou. So this is the small end, okay, denoted by the E. So we would take our, let's say this was the gear blank in question, we would take this, put it in our arbor press, stick this in there, use the arbor press to press fit this in there, and then we would be able to support our part between centers. So these are handy to have in multiple sizes, and I now have, I thought I had a lot before, now I have a whole lot. Some of them have damage, clearly cutter got in a little too close. All the way down to really little ones like this. The big honking ones like this. This is a Morse 1 1/4 inch. Sometimes these are shop made, but these are all nice commercially made ones. The Morse 1 1/4. You know what? Something like that cost you to buy new, right? So this whole box right here, this is all just arbors. Just easier to take out the non-arbors out of the box that I threw in here. This is some sort of a mystery cutter. The only way I'm going to know for sure what the hell this is if I want to dig off all the cosmoline or whatever the heck the coating is on here that they put on here after it was sharpened. Either that or it's brand new. But this little cutter intrigued me because it is carbide tipped by the looks of it. It's like a brazed carbide tip on there. It's one cutter. So it's got one flute or one little cutting lip to go around. So I don't know if that was used in a special machine or what. Here's another funky one. This one's going to be easy to identify because I can see.
I spoke too soon. This has got a very strange logo on it that I can't make out. And all I can make out is OKUM. Oakum. Can't see what that first letter is. Soakum 75JS. Looks like the same deal. It looks like it's a single cutter. This has a CT7B on it. Oh, I can see under here something. 1 1/16
CT7B. Well, I tried Googling and no luck there. I don't know what the hell this is. There's a nice little spanner wrench.
This looks like a Williams 418, 1 inch.
USA. And this is a Fairmount 1/2 inch wrench. This is clearly, to me, it looks like a wrench that belongs with a lathe. Definitely for a smaller lathe. Definitely doesn't fit anything on the 14-inch Vernon. And maybe it'll fit something on the 12-inch Hendy, and if not, well, we got another surprise coming up. So, not in this episode, not in this series, but coming up sooner or later. Here's a number 1 Cleveland wedge. This is for removing tapers, Morse tapers. I have a complete set of these and I sold all my extra ones off. Now I'm gonna have to find a home for that one. Miscellaneous little cutters. I found a bunch of these. These were like near the end. These were ones I had missed initially. So I'm gonna show a box in a moment or two. But I mean, that's a little slitting saw. So here's a perfect example of what I was talking about with this arbor. Well, nope, maybe not. I stand erected.
These are all good brands. This one is Circular Tool Company Incorporated of Providence, Rhode Island, high-speed steel. It's a 3-inch diameter, 1/16 of an inch thickness. The teeth look like they would still do some damage and cut some things. This one here is a little bevel. I don't know if this is part of a gear set or what. For cutting teeth, maybe. This is marked Morse USA 2 1/16 by .202 high speed. It's dated,
I believe that's a date, 11/1/39. November 1st, 1939. Are you kidding me? Could that be correct? Wow. And this little guy here is also a Circular Tool Company of Providence, Rhode Island. At some point, I'll have to go through all of these that I have. You know, keep some duplicates in case I ruin them, and then send some down the road. Because of stuff like this, you know, the cardboard box this was in just fell apart, disintegrated. This was clearly sitting on a shop floor and moisture got to it or whatever. These are cutters to go on a arbor for a horizontal milling machine, which I do not have a horizontal milling machine. I can't think of a reason why I would want to keep these, even if I had a an arbor that I could mount these on for use in my vertical mill. It's like if I wanted to cut a slot in something, you know, that was standing up this way. I mean, this is made to cut a slot going along like this, which I can now do with an end mill. So, but there are going to still be times when you're going to want to do an operation where this might come in handy. But I think my best bet is probably to send these down the road to somebody who has a mill that can use them. These are all high-speed steel. These all look like they're in really good shape, amazingly, considering they've just been banging around in the box in a shop forever.
just a random sample. You know, we're talking, this is National Twist Drill and Tool Company of Detroit. This one says it's a parabolic, V-parabolic, high-speed steel. You know, so even something like that will clean up and be usable to somebody. And we just look at that one. That one was probably sharpened and then put in cosmoline and put away and not used since it was sharpened and then just left to rust. There's a thinner one there. There's a really thin slotting one.
The teeth on that, pretty aggressive. Just doing a down and dirty quick sort on these because I want to single out some of these little unusual ones here and talk about them. So I'm taking out anything that looks like it'll just cut a regular straight slot, setting it off to the side. There's another one. That looks brand new. National twist drill. That's practically a slitting saw. That's so skinny. Alright, so what's over here now is a bunch of these funky looking ones, okay, with a very unusual profile to them. And I think what these are is I think these are what are called involute gear cutters. And I think they're supposed to be in sets, if I'm not mistaken. So these have, yeah, okay, this is definitely a gear cutter. It says number 5, 10 DP, which is diametric pitch, bevel, okay. Brown and Sharp, Providence, Rhode Island. So these might have come off of, maybe these came off of a gear hobbing machine, I don't know. But I think I've seen Keith Rucker use these before, and I think if I recall correctly, they are normally in sets. So this is something I'm definitely going to want to look through and see whether or not these need to be kept together, and also I have to make a determination on whether or not I want to use them. This, see, here's a good example here. Here's an envelope that all of these were in together. Yeah, these are all gear cutting or gear hobbing cutters, I believe. Okay. So I think these I found in a organizer draw thing, and he wanted it was a fair price for the whole metal organizer, but I have so many metal organizers and things now that if I can't get those for like next to nothing, I don't even bother. So I took all of the contents out of the drawers, which he had very little value on, and got those for peanuts. Here's some more here. Urgh. More of these straight cutters. Some decent ones there. Some of these, again, I believe they were sharpened and then put away because they still have the cosmoline on them. And some of them were just like this. They were wrapped up in this cloth. That's a staggered tooth one. Okay. Probably going to sell all of these. That's an interesting one. That'll cut a radius. Oh, okay. This looks like this would cut a slot with a round bottom to it. It's marked Brown and Sharp Manufacturing Company, 4" by 7 16ths. So that's 7 16ths inch wide, 4" in diameter. Doesn't say what the radius is though. Just says high-speed steel, E. I wonder if E designates that it's part of a set, again, of those, those gear hobbing cutters. That'd be for a big gear, right? I don't know. All right, well, let's call that a special. The rest of these look like, I think these are all just like regular straight ones. There's even some little slitting ones stuffed in here. Oh, feel another hobber. Hobber. Well, that would cut a bevel, right?
Something Drill Company USA. Something something by 1/2 inch. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Clean it up and worry about it some other time. Guess those would be good for slitting. What the hell are these? Wow. Holy crap, the teeth are fine on those. Huh. I mean, why leave it behind, right?